possibly proud to have our next guest with us. Wayne is an investor, podcaster, but more importantly, he's the founder of Australia's leading men's platform. And not just Australia, this is a platform that is starting to stretch out around the world and help people in different countries. He's originally from Penrith in Western Sydney, moved to Sunshine Coast with his wife and 4 children. He's got 20 years of plumbing experience and extensive experience in public speaking and volunteering at his local church. The 20 years of plumbing experience means that Wayne's running a large plumbing business across 2 states in Australia. He began street preaching at 18 and spoken to audiences globally, including church groups, conferences, business groups, and prison inmates in the Congo, Rwanda, and Kenya. They would have some interesting stories to them. They are some pretty interesting places to be into. He currently manages that plumbing business across the 2 states, but he's really passionate about Average Joe's men's movement. And I've got to say, I'm pretty passionate about it as well. I really like it. He co-founded it with Elliot Krause in late 2018. Average Joe is a movement focused on empowering men to tackle life's challenges and has seen significant engagement and impact since its inception. And I think empowering and upskilling men to tackle life's challenges. Wayne's philosophy emphasizes helping one man at a time to effect broader positive change. Welcome in, Wayne. Great to have you in.
Thanks, Paul. I really appreciate it, mate. Glad to be here.
It's lovely to have you. It's lovely to have you in. Look, I met Wayne at a business event in Australia last year, and I was just immediately impressed by what he was standing for. And I really like this. I just think that somewhere in the world we need to understand that we're all average people. Some people make more money, some people are more famous, some people drive better cars, some people can run faster. But when you put it all together, we're all average people, and plenty of average people in the world could just do with a little bit more support, a little bit more help around communication. We just want a little bit more companionship in the friend way. They want somebody who can stand with them when they need to. And Wayne's been putting this together. I'm going to ask you to start with, mate. What inspired you to start this men's movement? What's the core mission behind Average Joe's?
Well, we started 6 years ago, 2018, and it was a good mate of mine, Elliot Krause, and myself. We started a weekly commitment of meeting at a pub just to be mates and strengthen our mateship together. And it happened one day when we normally would meet at 12 o'clock, and I jumped in my car on my way to go see him for our regular meetup, and my car wouldn't start. So I've sent him a quick text message. I said, mate, I'm going to be late. If you can hang around. Yeah, not a problem. So I did. I got there 45 minutes late, and I apologised immensely, saying, mate, look, I'm so sorry, I'm here. And he said to me, you know what, that's totally fine, because if you miss this week, we're going to be here again next week anyway. And I said, yeah, I understand that. I said, but if you realise the impact it's been making on my life personally, as an individual, as a man, to come here for 1 hour a week and drop the shoulders, take the deep breath, have a chat with another mate about real life events. I said, if you realise the impact it's been having on me, I said, I wanted to be here. I said, whether I'm late or not, I wanted to be here. I said, I'm glad you said that. He said, I'm in the same frame of mind as you. He said, I want to be here every week too. And I said, you know what? If you and I are getting so much value out of meeting together for an hour a week, challenging each other, pushing each other to be better men, pushing each other to be better husbands, better in business, better in our communities, if you and I are getting so much value out of that, surely there's other men out there that would get the same value. It's 1 hour. It's simple. There's no, agenda behind it other than pushing you to be better. I said, surely there's other men out there that would get out of it what we're getting out of it. He said, absolutely. I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to take a quick selfie and I'm going to put it on Facebook, on our community board here on the Sunshine Coast. And I'll put a call out there for men to say, hey, we're just 2 average blokes. I'm a plumber. My mate here is a real estate agent. We meet for an hour a week at the pub, 12 o'clock, but we challenge each other to be better and we hold each other accountable to it. If you want to join us, we'll see you next week. And I put my phone down, and that was what started what you know now as the Average Joe's movement, because the newspaper got a hold of it. They called us the Average Joes. So we stuck with the name, and that's where we are today. I mean, there's so much more that's happening in that, but I know we're getting by time, so I'll try and keep it short. But the inspiration came from realizing that I wanted to be there. I wanted to be pushed to be better and be held accountable for it. And that's what inspired what you shows.
I wonder for people in the room how long it is since they've had that kind of conversation, where they've had somebody who they can just speak to openly and honestly, drop the shoulders, as you called it, be a bit vulnerable, and be held to fit to be a better human being for the men and the women in the room. I wonder how long it's been for many of the people in the room since they've been able to communicate. We've all got friends and people we catch up with, but look, I know for me, even last night I was at a 50th, but it's to a large degree. It's running, hey mate, yeah mate, good mate, I'm good mate, you're good mate, cool mate, fantastic mate, let's have a beer mate, okay mate, see you, I gotta go, I've got kids at home. And there's not actually any stop and talk time in that. And I wonder for people how difficult in today's world it is just to make that kind of stuff happen for you. So mate, you do weekly meetups now, as we understand, for an hour. How do the weekly meetups work now that it's not just the two of you, there's a group of you involved?
Okay, so it originally started with just men meeting at either a pub or a cafe for a 1 hour chat. That's how it started. But what it is now is that we have a set agenda with set topics every single week. Those topic comes from within us. We write the topics, we send out to all of our hosts. Those topics are set with an agenda to push you and challenge you to be better. So when you come to an Average Joe's meetup, it's broken up into the 4 weeks of the month. The first week of the month we call Open Table, which is purely just the social event. Come, talk life, have a beer, have a coffee, whatever it is, and just utilize that 1 hour to just build mateship. The second week is where we have a set topic. So you'll be sent as a host a set topic. You go to an Average Joe's, you'll be hearing a very, very 3-4 point topic, which is all about something to do with us as men. The third week we have called Open Mic, which is where, as a host of a group, you would put out to one of your members, this week, the topic's all yours. You can bring a story, you can bring an event, or you can bring something you've read, but the platform is yours this week. So it's the challenge put out to one of the guys in the group that, hey, you're on this week, bring something up. And then back to the fourth week of the month, it's another set topic that we do in-house that's sent out. So the 4 weeks of the month for that 1 hour broken up into Open Table, which is social, set topic, Open Mic, which is a topic brought by one of the guys in the group, and then the fourth week, again, a set topic.
It's around how many groups are meeting around at the moment in an average month for Average Joe's? How many meetings are there?
Okay, so that it does need to be, our socials do need to be updated, because I think at the moment we're sitting around about 20. We have 7 about to start in Kenya, which we're just working behind the scenes at the moment. So another 7 are about to be launched in Kenya. So I think we're sitting about 20 at the moment.
Nice, mate. And expanding into countries other than Australia is a part of the goal for our Average Joe's, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So currently we are in 2 countries, 3 countries, I should say. So Australia, we're in Pakistan, and we are in Kenya. Now we're building onto those again.
Fantastic, mate. Can you share a success story or a transformation experience from someone involved in the movement? Can you tell us someone, like, obviously it's been great for you, but can you tell us about someone else that's been grateful?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we do get sent in so many stories or testimonies or reviews quite often of men that have been a part of it for a while or just started coming. So we get so many, but the one that does stand out is a guy that I met about 3 years ago. And again, one thing I do want to say about Average Joe's is that we are not a mental health group. We're not a suicide prevention group. We're none of those things. We are just normal, everyday men getting together to be held accountable to become better men. So within that realm, a lot of those things do fit into what we do, but that's not our platform. But the story I do want to share with you is a guy, I won't share with you his name, but he came to me about 3 years ago, and he'd been coming for about 2 months. And he pulled me aside one day after our meetup. He said, hey, can I have a quick chat with you? I said, absolutely, you can. He said, about 2 months ago, he said, I actually planned it out to kill myself. I said, mate, why would you want to do that? And that's another story in itself. But he did go on to say, he said, but I want to tell you something that's so empowering to me. He said, my psychologist actually told me that I need to start getting into some groups with some people and things, and they recommended joining an Average Joe's group. So I joined. And he said, and what had happened? He said, I planned to do it on a Sunday, and I had my psychology meeting on a Friday or something like that. And he said, I came to the Average Joe's meeting, and he goes, and you had this topic about something. I can't remember what it was, but there was this topic that made him go home and challenge himself on some certain areas within his own life. And he said, I planned to then, do some things that weekend to myself that was going to harm myself, but I held on tight. And he goes, and then the next week, I woke up in the morning thinking, I wonder what they're talking about in Average Joe's. Said, ever since then, said, I've been wanting to hear what the topic is because I walk away challenged to be better. And he goes, I take the whole week to think about it. He goes, I study it. I go through it back in my head. I text it back and forth with my mates. And he said, it keeps me coming. He said, literally what we talk about every week, he said, it's kept me on this planet to just keep coming back because I want to know what you're talking about next week. And that's a very, very harsh story, I know, to tell you, but that's an extreme example. But it's real life. This is what we deal with here. We're real life. Nothing in what we do in Average Joe's is sugar-coated by any means. It's raw and it's real, and that's one of the things that we go by. So that's an example that to me makes me go, well, I'm glad you're still here. Truly I am. But the fact that what holds you here is the fact that you want to be challenged next week. Give me an army of those kind of men. Let me build with a community of men that want to be challenged to be better. That's what keeps me going. So testimony like that, inspiring for myself.
Part where he's sharing it with his friends. I think people really want to contribute. And I think the fact that he's sharing it with his friends allows him to feel like he's contributing. And I think in the world there are a lot of people who really want to find a way to make a better contribution to those around them. Suicide is a huge thing in the world at the moment, but just in general terms, what's the biggest challenges men face today?
Plain and simple, identity. Men don't know who they are. Men know what they do, but they don't know who they are. You take a typical example of going to a barbecue for the first time and you're meeting somebody for the first time. G'day, mate. How you going? Yeah, good. Oh, so what do? Men talk about doing. Look, when you look at the what I call the 3 Ps that make a family man, which is provide, protect, and preside, right? We are providers. It's just generally what we do. So our identity so much is wrapped up in our career and what we do. But it's rare that you go beyond what they do and discover who they are. Why? Men don't know who they are. We've brought about these last couple of years, especially, so much confusion on just simple identity. We're confusing young kids with letting them decide things like this. Men are struggling to find their true identity as a man. And when they do, it's then that they can find where they can contribute within their families, within their societies, but more importantly, within themselves. Without a doubt, what I've seen right across the board, the biggest challenge men face is finding who they are.
Wayne, is it something that they find? You don't instruct them on who they are. They've got to work out for themselves who they are, right?
Absolutely. And that's the key. A very, very simple way to find out what your identity is what you say about yourself. That's your true identity. Because people talk about you regardless. They'll talk about you behind your back. They'll talk about you in your face. Be good, bad, whatever. But the way you talk about yourself, because if you can't love yourself, you can't love or contribute to anybody, which is why you see so many broken marriages and families and whatever it is. You bring it back to a man finding his true identity and happy within him, let him believe that and talk that about himself, you see a changed man. You'll see a man that can take on anything.
Mate, what are the core values with Average Joe's as a movement?
I think as a movement, we run by something called our Core 3M, which is 3 things that start with M: masculinity, mentoring, mateship. Masculinity is the growth of a man inwardly. Mentoring is the focus of a man outwardly. And mateship is the strength of a man collectively. Those 3 things is how we build Average Joe's from a core. So when you look at within masculinity, the growth of a man inwardly, we focus big on getting men back to a healthy and a positive belief of what it means to be a masculine man in today's world. The word masculine carries such a tarnished branding nowadays, when really you take back to the core values within masculinity, getting men to take responsibility, getting men to have courage, getting men to take risk, getting men to be held accountable and having integrity. All these things built into that one part of our Core 3M. So we're all about getting men back to that healthy, positive form of masculinity and embracing it. Because within that, you see the core of what everything that we're about. And it's tough. It's tough for men to take.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's pretty rewarding for those that make it. I start the journey too. Look, you've got a podcast. Why did you decide to start a podcast given you've got meetings, and how does it complement the meetings?
Absolutely. So we obviously not everybody can make one of our meetups, They are held on different days of the week, at different venues of the week, and at different times. We have ones in the mornings, ones at lunchtimes, ones at nights. And a lot of men, we get so many messages. Is there one near me? Can I come to an event here? And because we're still sitting at around about the 20, not every man can make it to one of our meetings. So we've taken what we talk about, we take our topics, and I thought, well, let's create a platform that allows our agenda, our content, and our purpose. Let's create a platform that puts it into the ears of any man at any time of the day. And as we heard from Steve, who did an amazing job about podcasts, is that it's such a growing platform because it puts your voice out there. So we've taken our content now that we talk about, because one of the benefits of what we do is that we take real life topics, but you're hearing the perspective from every man in the group. So when you take what we have and you put on a platform like a podcast, now you're hearing it at any time of the day, and not having to go to a meetup as such. So building the podcast, we've only released, I think now we're at episode 7, I think, for this week. So we've only recently launched. The reason we took so long is that we actually built a podcast studio. So all of our platforms with Spotify and with Apple and with YouTube, it's all edited phenomenally. We have like high quality video. It's literally like a show. And it's performing extraordinarily well. A lot better than what I thought it was going to. It's going great.
Fantastic. I know I've heard some of your viewing numbers in the past, and they're off the charts. Mate, okay, so we've got a podcast, we've got some meetings, we're in 2 countries, we're trying to get into 3 countries, we're grabbing some steam, we've got 20 groups which are meeting once a week. What's the long-term vision for Average Joes and the podcast, and how can our listeners and viewers be part of it?
Long-term vision is that we're big believers in building men from the ground up. And so we've actually written a curriculum which we want to take into high schools to work with younger boys and getting them to be grown up better. So we've written a curriculum that goes for 9 months, which we're about to start this coming year to be put into one of the local high schools here. So long term, that's one little side thing that we're doing, working with teenage boys. Another thing we're doing is we're working with Weekends Away. We're going to start taking men away, dealing with deeper things, that, childhood traumas, but also business and just everything that makes a man. So we're looking at Weekends Away. We're working on holding events. So we're having a meeting this weekend actually about some upcoming events we want to start doing in every state, where we take what we do with our topics, we take what we do with our podcast, and we put it on a stage, and we make the event sponsored. We bring local things, because we're huge on networking, and we love the fact that men love to network when it comes to business and things like that. So combining all that to take what we do from such a small platform now, but bringing it out there into live events, but also connecting with the younger community of teenage boys.
Well, putting something useful into schools is a novel idea. I quite like the idea of doing that, having something that people can learn at school that's actually useful to them in life. That sounds pretty useful. Look, I've got a question for you, and I'm trying to find the right words to phrase it, but Average Joe is about men finding masculinity, and that's what it's for. But Average Joe's isn't against anything, right? It's not anti-woman because it's a men's group. It's not anti-anything. It's just about men trying to get in touch with what you call masculinity, but now I'm going to call values. Men to understand their values and live with them a bit more. Is that where we are? Am I paraphrasing that kind of right?
Absolutely, mate. Look, one of the things this coming April, I've been married for 25 years. I am without a doubt married to the most amazing woman on the planet. And you will hear it from me every time I have a conversation with you. I have the most amazing relationship with my wife. Are we, when we talk masculinity, it's sad that we have to then try and back it up with, but we're not anti-women, because that's the brush we've been tarnished with when you say the word masculinity nowadays. I am by no means against anything with women or those kind of things that tarnish. I love the fact that I see women empowered to do phenomenal, amazing things. I mean, we've got a panel with some amazing women that we're hearing from today. That does nothing but make me proud and inspired for me as a man to even go on and do more things. So we are definitely not against anything like that. We're not misogynist. You will hear, when you come to any of our meetups or you hear any of our content. In fact, our very first podcast that we released was building a relationship that lasts. We are all for a strong family unit. We're all for strong marriages. We're all for the strong feminine unit. And that comes, I believe, when I see men operate in their full masculine and I see women operate in their full feminine. And when they can contribute and you see a strong family unit, buddy, that excites me.
I like it, mate. Okay, so I think at the end we'll post the Average Joe's website so people who want to get involved can sort of do that. We'll cover that right at the end of this. But for now, are you looking for advertisers, partners, etc., leaders of groups, people? What are you looking for that would allow people to contribute to the movement's goals?
Okay, the two main things we are looking for. Number one, first and foremost, by any means, the core of what we are is that we would love to continue to grow our meetups. On our website, if you do go down the very front page, there is an opportunity on one or two links that's either find an Average Joe's near you or how to host your own Average Joe's. So first and foremost, we want to grow what we're doing and to put more and more meetup groups around not only our great country, but every country on earth. I mean, we've seen it operate in Pakistan and be successful. We've seen it do that in Kenya. It can work because it crosses cultures perfectly. We want men to be better and every country needs that. So first and foremost, we would love to continue to grow the movement in regards to meetups. To scale that comes in with our second thing that we are doing. We'd love people to partner with us financially with businesses and companies on getting involved with our podcast so that we can continue to grow it and continue to scale it. Because at the moment, we all are still full-time workers. We are looking at implementing business models because the one thing we don't want to do, and I remember having this chat with you before, Paul, we're not about taking donations. I don't want Average Joe's at all to be receiving donations. But what I'd love is people to partner with us, believe in our vision, see what we do, and let's make it a business transaction where we can help you as a business or a company where you can partner with us, we can advertise with you, with what we do in our podcast or across our platforms, and help us scale this even more.
Cheers, mate. So how do men go about contacting Average Joe's? We put the website link up. Is the website the key?
Website is key, without a doubt. averagejoes.net.au.
Is that us?
That's us. There's me.
Yeah.
In a better photo with some more hair.
So if you go to averagejoes.net.au, the link is in there, and you can find out about Average Joe's meetups. You can find out about how to host an Average Joe's meetup. If you, I would imagine if you want to contact Wayne and talk about, and again, he's always been really clear with me that Average Joe's, they just don't take donations. They're looking to empower people to stand up on their own 2 feet, and they want to stand up on their own 2 feet. But if you're interested in sponsoring the podcast or getting involved, running a meetup, you can reach them through here, and I'm sure the contact us will take us to Wayne. There he is at Average Joe's. Look, I'm going to ask you for a final thought. I'm going to say this again. I said at the start. My belief is that the word average is almost vilified in the world, and it's great to have high ambitions and to want to do good things. But in some ways, we're all average, and I just think having some support. I told you on Wednesday that I used to play golf with a bunch of mates, and amongst all the shambles that was, it really was a shambles. What it was a chance to walk around a golf course with a bunch of guys for a day and talk, and that as men, and understand what other men were going through was a huge part of maturing me. It really played a massive part in it for me understanding what these guys were doing with their lives, and how some were better and some were worse, and why they were there. And so I love the concept, mate. Final thought from you before we wind her up. Over to you, mate. Last thought.
Final thought from me. It's interesting you just say that, Paul, and I'll finish on what you've just said there in regards to we're just average people. At the end of the day, I remember hearing this saying years ago where I can't remember who said it, but somebody rocked up to a town and said, "Hey, is there any famous people born in this town?" And the response was, "No, just babies." And at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. No, you're not born. We're all the same. We are all the same people. Now, I love seeing people excel, but deep down, mate, deep down right in here, we're all the same. And at the end of the day, if you have a message that's worth spreading, if you have a message that's worth sharing, you will. And that's exactly what we're doing. We have a message that we believe is worth sharing, and that's what we're going to do.
Cheers, mate. That is www.averagejoes.net.au. Wayne, as always, thank you very much for your time and your perspective on the world.
Mate.
I just Wish you and Average Joe's every single success. Thank you,
Thanks,
mate.
mate. Thanks, buddy. Thanks,
Oh,
guys.
cheers, mate. No, look, I really like dealing with people. Every time we do one of these events, we have somebody come in who's just about goodness, and I love having them on board. And Wayne has a big plumbing business, and he can talk business all day long, but I love what he does to try